I've spent a lot of time cleaning this crankshaft up with a wire brush and a drill or a grinder, just to take all the rust off. The journals are in really good condition. There's some little water marks on them, but certainly nothing to worry about. The lubrication of this crank is different than the way I thought it was. This journal here, which is the oil pump end, is pressure fed. There's 4 holes in there. There's also 2 oil holes in the eccentric, and there's a drill in with a bit of tubing that goes from this big end down into the main drill into the crankshaft. So all this end's pressure fed, and there's a copper pipe which feeds the rear bearing to pressure feed that one as well. I'm going to give us a light polish with some very fine emery paper or wet and dry paper, and then make sure all these drillings are clear. And I'm going to pull the oil pump housing back off the back of the engine to make sure that there is an oil feed into this journal, as I can't see any oil come out of it. So we'll run it up, a little bit of fine wet and dry. I've got a new tub of WD-40. One of my viewers kindly sent us a little bit of paper in, so I bought some WD-40, which is a really nice lubricant for machine aluminium, and it's a good cleaning lubricant as well. Right, we'll power this up, run it up, and polish this crank up a little bit. I've just got it held in a 3-jaw chuck in between centres, and it'll be fine there. Before you go playing around rotating shafts, you've got no jewellery on, no shirt sleeves, nothing to get caught, everything out of the way. A big long piece of tape, and you can keep your hands well away from the job, just held between 2 fingers so you can let go. At least that's the way I always do it. That's nice. I'll slow it down a little bit, and I'll do the eccentric. All I'm doing is taking the water marks off. Right, I'm really happy with that. That's absolutely beautiful. It's got a lovely little fillet radius in there, that was always a sign of a good crank on a race engine, that there was a nice fillet between the journal and the web, and that's certainly got one. This end of the shaft, that's where the spring was, that's quite rough. I'm going to have a go at that with a file before I put the emery tape on it. Very fine machine file. Once again, all the sleeves and cuffs are up. A little bit slightly coarser emery tape on there. Much better. Finish it off with some fine. That's the part of the governor slides on that part of the crank there. Right, that looks much better. Happy with that. We need to make sure all these ports and passages are clean. Brake cleaner. That's going straight through there. It's going straight through the crank, and you can see it running out of here. That's actually a grub screw that locks that eccentric onto the shaft. Do it again just to flush out any crap, but they're all doing what it's supposed to do. I've actually had this in the ports washer at work and ran plenty of paraffin through all the various ports. It doesn't matter how much you clean it, you still find little pockets of shite. I'll be going to get wrong next by doing this on the lathe, but I can't really see it doing any harm. Unfortunately, when the engine was left in water, the water didn't get up to this gear. If this gear had been in a bad state, then there would have been real problems with it. Fortunately, it wasn't. I think we'll settle for that. Right, next we'll have a look at the oil pump into the engine to make sure that the oil calorie into this journal is in fact clear. Right, this is the oil pump housing, that's the oil pump plunger that we're using the other day, at least we're playing with the other day. There's an oil hole in the bearing there, and there's a keep screw there. I'll take that out. I will actually have it out and see what's in there. And what I've done, I've found a screwdriver tip, and I've actually ground it hollow ground it so it's nice and square on the end, just to make sure we don't do any damage. It's a good fit in that brass screw. Right, so that's a brass screw removed. I'm going to pump some oil in there and see where it goes to. I've got more oil can, there's one. Right, so we'll pump some oil in there, and I'm hoping it's going to come out of that drilling in there, or that oil hole in there. That's coming out of that one there. So those two are joined together. I just need to make a connection between that one and that one there, which I think is starting to happen. I'll try a little bit of brake cleaner in because it'll a bit more pressure on it. Right, there it is, it's starting to come out, yep. I blanked that one off. And look in there, see the oil coming out of that. So there is a connection between that port there and there and into the oil pump. So it is, in fact, getting the pressure feed into there. I'm just going to take it across and blow it off with the airline out the rear of the camera. Well, oil every. Basically, I'm a bit of a messy bastard. Oil everywhere. Right, so I'm back to the crankcase now. That's the oil feed into the pump. Remember, there's the long strainer in there, and that's the oil feed into the rear main bearing. So basically, we can put this end on now and possibly try and get the crankshaft in. I'm just going to use a little bit of grease to seal the gasket. It doesn't need anything more than grease really. That's all that I used to use on a lot of race engines, just grease. Sometimes a little bit of Halem. But a nice paper gasket and grease like this, a nice flat machine, cast iron faces will be no problem. So that oil into there, into the pump and out of the pump. Right, we're happy with all the oil galleries and things are clear on here, so we can assemble that. I'm going to put a couple of nuts on just to hold it in place. And you can hear the pump sucking, or at least it's not sucking, it's causing a depression. Right, so I think next is to install the crankshaft and install this end casing. This end casing, as I say, is pressure fed into there, into that bearing. And there's an oil seal in there, it's an old fashioned leather seal. It's nice and supple, that'll not give any problems. I managed to source some quarter BSF countersunk head screws for that, so things are looking not too bad at all.